Hello fellow modelers and styling fanatics, welcome back to my channel. I hope that everyone is doing fine and enjoys the hobby. Concrete Bunker is back with another one of its notorious episodes. On this episode, Past George did a lot of work and he managed to put the main assembly of the BTR-80 together. And when I say the main assembly, okay, you may find it in pieces at the end of the video, but this is my main assembly because I need to paint it and it needs to be in pieces. So keep an eye out. I do a mistake onto the suspension system assembly. I will point it out. Be careful about it, because if you do the same mistake like me, you're gonna end up with a low rider BTR, and we don't want that. Or maybe some of you want that, so keep an eye out for that. Anyway, I don't wanna bore you or hold you guys anymore. You all know the drill. Grab a seat, crack the mandatory cold one, and let's see what Past George did. So guys, welcome back to what should probably be part 2 of the BTR-80 build. So, from what you see in front of you, this is the lower hull, and we are gonna start working on it. But before I start attaching parts on it, I should tell you how my plan goes. Now, let's leave this aside for a moment. According to the instructions, we are now on step number 5, which consists from a whole page on itself, with 4 different sub-assemblies, apart the parts that need to go on the lower hull, and a smaller kinda sub-assembly. Anyway, now I have given it a thorough look. It is clearer for me right now, although I've said on the review that it is a little bit mixed. Now it is, as I say, it is a bit clearer. I can understand it better, and here is the plan I have in mind, and why I will follow this plan. So, as you can see over here, we have to attach the side doors over and some detail pieces, steps as well, that help the crew climb onto the vehicle, and as I said, detailed parts. These parts are gonna wait until the very end. These parts are gonna wait until I finish with the suspension system, because I know myself, I am a bit clumsy. Although I can be careful the first 45 minutes of a build, I will forget and grab it, and probably I will knock something off. So these parts are gonna wait until the suspension system is on. Now, on the suspension system, we have A and B, that consist the 2 front axles of the vehicle, and from my understanding, they have both steering racks on them, so they are both steerable. So you need to assemble A and B, attach them to place, of course, and then you need to add the steering mechanism on them, which is gonna make them a little bit flimsy, not flimsy, a little bit fragile. So these will have to wait as well. But the thing that doesn't have to wait is C and D, which are the 2 rear ones. D is this one and C is this one. And they look like a pretty solid assembly, and they should, maintain themselves in one piece as I build the rest of it. So to make it all clearer, and to make you understand what I'm willing to do after this whole rant, I'm gonna start with with subassembly D, attach the rear end suspension system. Of course, I'm gonna attach one side of camera and the other one on camera. We're gonna move on to C, and then the other two, and finally the detailed parts for step number 5. Now that I've got this out of the way, I'm gonna need you guys to wait for a moment, grab a sip from your beer, and I'm gonna be back with the parts cleaned and ready to go. Oh boy, guys, how lucky am I? And I'm saying that because I did put this side off camera, and I had I don't want to say that I had some trouble, but I had some trouble to find the correct way to put the pieces, you know, which one should go first. So now you can see the correct way, because when I was putting this one together, I was struggling, quote unquote, to find which piece should go first. Now let's start with the other side. As you probably can see, the assembly consists of 3 and 6 pieces in total. So we are gonna start with this part first, and this one goes over here at the square hole. I'm gonna be as thorough as I can, because this is a little bit weird. It is a little bit I'm gonna call it weird assembly. And I need you to understand me. I'm gonna try so you can understand me. There we have it. And next up we have to attach the coilovers, not the suspension springs. I forgot the name again. Anyway, each one on each side, on each of those 2 holes. They are labeled as the same part. There we have it. One on this side and one on the other. Like so. Don't worry if you see them not lined up correctly. We're gonna line them up eventually as we proceed. Now next piece, and the upper part of the suspension system goes over here at the back. Let me give you a closer look. Let me explain better, I should say. Goes over here at the indentations. I should advise you to use a slow curing glue, because of the nature of this assembly, because you're gonna need to move things here and there, left and right, to line them up correctly. You have to press fit this in place as well. And then we have this one. The 2 holes should line up with the suspension part, the coil parts, and the rear over here at the rear. I know that I'm not explaining it correctly, but bear with me, guys, you're gonna understand what I am saying. I'm gonna show you. See? Now we have to line those things up. and of course with the camera closed it was way easier. There we have it. Now you can have a better look of what I am talking about and understand. I can explain that in Greek pretty easily, but not in English, while I'm working as well on it, I mean. Hopefully you catch my drift. And finally we have this axle. Now the square part should look downwards onto the ground, and this angled part upwards onto the vehicle, and these two C-shaped indentations should hug this one and the other one. So let me apply my glue. Grab that piece and feed it through a hole, and there we have it. Hopefully my explanation was good enough and you understand. And now we move on to our next suspension sub-assembly. We're gonna move on to step C, which is almost identical from what I can understand, but with a coil less, a suspension shock less. So let me do my preparation of camera, of course, and I'm gonna be back once again. So we move on to the sub-assembly lettered C of the fifth step, and here is how it looks. It should look, I should say, and it is almost the same with sub-assembly D, but with one less shock absorber. Now I remembered it. Anyway, let's do another repetition in front of camera, and I'm gonna see in the editing stage if I am going to add it onto the video. Once again, same steps. I am attaching parts with the same or in the same order as I have attached it in the previous sub-assembly. Repetitive work made me quicker. No, stay there, thank you. Now this is one of the cases that I wish I should have an airbrush, because it's gonna be a little bit tricky to paint everything in there, but I know that I don't have the space to own an airbrush, so I have to take it as it is. Heuristic it is, and a lot of patience is gonna be required to paint this thing. Anyway, nothing is perfect, and I almost lose a part. Like a glove. Extra thing over there because I wanna see, I want the part set quickly. And the final piece is the axle. And as you can see, guys, we have the two easy steps of the suspension system of the BTR-80. Next up we move on to step number B, which is exactly the same as step number C. I'm gonna do the whole thing off camera, and no, to be honest with you, let me rephrase that. Okay, subassembly B, suspension subassembly B, is the same with subassembly C, and subassembly A is the same with subassembly D. So I'm gonna attach those two off camera because there is no need for you to see them. So guys, as I said, here we have the suspension subassemblies A and B. I have to inform you that they are possibly the most difficult part of this build. I have put and B together. As you can see, I have made it movable. It took me some time, but I have managed to make it workable. Now I have done half of step A, which, as I've told you, is almost the same assembly as D. Alphabet is all over the place in this update anyway. And now I'm gonna do in front of the camera the subassembly that needs to be movable in order for the BTR to steer. I will need your patience because this thing is a little bit difficult and it's gonna take me some time. It's not so exciting, but anyway, we're gonna make it work. So let me see how I can make it possible. We're gonna turn the vehicle like this. We need to feed the steering rack assembly. I'm gonna call it the steering rack. We need to feed it through here. Leave it as it is. We also need to feed through here this axle, but before we feed it, we need to grab this part. This is B9, if I'm not mistaken, B9 or B10. Anyway, they are almost the same. This thing that attaches to the steering rack needs to look towards the rear end of the vehicle, and this knob needs to go at this hole, and everything should fall together exactly. Let me grab my tweezers, and now I need you to be a little bit patient. No. Okay, there we have this in place, and this one also. Okay, this one was a little bit easier this time. Now that everything is in place, on this side at least, we need to top them off to secure them with this part. So be extra careful where you attach your glue, where you apply your glue, I should say. I'm gonna apply it only over here at the corners, a small amount of glue, and then this hole needs to go on top of this knob and secure the whole assembly together. And of course I knocked everything Out of place. No, don't do it to me, Freddy. There we have it again. Second time is the charm. Yes, second time is the charm. So we're gonna do the same thing at this side. I'm gonna grab this part that I forgot to clean. It had a bit of flesh onto it. And we need to feed it through the axle, feed it through the steering rack, and feed it through that hole. And I think that everything is in position, and it is. Ooh, that was quick. And I know that you don't believe me that it was the most difficult part of the build, but it was, guys. It looks like we have a winner. Okay. So, that's everything from the suspension system, and I am amazed by myself that I put it together. That's a nice surprise. So, now that we have all the suspension system done, we're gonna move on to the rest of the step number 5. The rest of the step number 5, for whoever does not remember, is of course the doors assembly. I'm gonna do. So guys, we made it to the point where we attach the side doors on the lower hall. I have made one off camera, of course. Here is how it is looking, and although it is looking a bit crooked, I followed the instructions precisely, and I have everything in place. Okay, it is what it is. I'm not gonna complain about it. It is a kit from 1991. Sorry for the pause there, guys. Anyway, so I don't know why instructions tell you not to glue the hinges over here. It's not like the door is gonna be movable, but anyway, as I said, I opted to glue everything shut because there is no interior detail, and there is no reason for me not to glue everything shut in closed position. So let's proceed with the assembly of this door, which is the exact same assembly as I've done on the other side. A few parts change numbers, but nothing nothing different about it. I'm gonna film the whole process, but if I see that you cannot see anything in the editing sequence of the video because parts are tiny, I'm gonna leave it off. So first we need to attach those hinges or latches, I cannot remember how they are named properly, over here at the bottom. And then, while they are still not set in place, we need to attach these hats. Which, as I've said, I am going to glue it in closed position. because there is no reason for it to be movable, and there is no possibility for it to be movable. Okay, and then we move on to the sides. Let me grab it better. Okay, where is the abundance of the glue when you need it? There we have it. I think yep, that is positioned exactly where it needed to be. Don't worry about the gap over here, guys. It's gonna fix itself as the instant we attach it onto the lower hole. It's gonna squeeze the whole assembly. Okay, and now we move on to the fiddly part, which wants you to attach this grab handle anyway, this part over here, and connect it with this thing. Oh, sorry guys, I knocked the camera. And of course it doesn't wanna go in place because the hole is small. This should do the trick. Once again guys, bear with me, I know that it's not so exciting, but who said that the builds are always exciting? Looks like we have a winner, and now we need to attach the whole assembly over here, or so they say. Let me raise the camera a bit. Wobbly mode, there we have it. Oh, come on. Like so. Of course I'm gonna fiddle with it off camera, you know, reposition a few stuff. And when I say reposition, I'm gonna explain you exactly what I mean in a moment. Okay, and fix this one as well. There. Okay, so guys, almost all the the majority of step number 5 is finished right now. We just need to add 4 steps in each side, 2 in each side, one over here, one over here, and 2 on the exact opposite sides. And we need to attach also 2 hooks over here at these holes, one here and one over here. So guys, as I've said, I have finished step number 5, and here is the evidence. I have attached the steps onto the lower hole and the front towing hooks, if you can call them towing hooks. And step number 5 is complete. We will move to step number 6, which consists of the wheels assembly. I have assembled all 7 and I left the 8th to do it on camera. Over here I have a note about the instructions. Give me a moment and I'm gonna show you. My note is that between part B1 and B16 they depict another piece over here which looks to be something like a polycap bushing. There are nowhere to be found inside the box, and they are nowhere to be found in the sprue map of the instructions. So my guess is that they were never there from the start. Now let's move on to the rest of the number 6 of part number 6. They tell you to glue this reinforcement part over here at the top of the steering columns, so that's what I'm gonna do immediately. It's from the inner part, so nobody's gonna see it. And there we have it. Let's see if it's still working. Yep, there is. We have movement. Let's leave this aside to dry, and now I'm gonna show you one of the wheels assembly. Now before I putting this together, I want to tell you that guys from the Greek forum warned me to grab resin tires about this build, because from their builds they seem to have problem with the tires. One of the problems was that the tire was too big and could not fit the size of the wheel, and the second problem is that the tire dissolves if you attach glue on it. Well, of course I don't have the money for resin aftermarket wheels, especially for this kit, because I don't wanna do something particular with it. I don't wanna make it add it to a diorama or something for the time being. So resin is out of the way right now, and secondly I'm not gonna add glue between the tire and the wheel to keep it in place. It is a quite stiff fit, I should say, a quite snug fit, so I don't need to do it. Now another thing to keep in mind, because the thing, it doesn't have any polycap bushings, I'm gonna glue this thing inside the wheel. Instructions told you not to glue them, but since we're not gonna have moving road wheels, I'm gonna glue it for good measure, just to keep it in place and reinforce the structural rigidity a little bit more. Better safe than sorry, I say. As you can see, I have already attached it. There are 2 holes, they line up with 2 knobs, and there we have it. Now I'm gonna leave it aside to dry for a moment because I don't want any glue to seep outside and ruin the tires, as the guys warned me. And that's it for part number 6. And the only problem that I have seen happening with the tire, because the snag is so fit, as you can see here where the tires mold together, you know, the circle mold together, and there is something like a seam mark. Because they are stretched onto the sprue, it seems to have put tension on there. That's the only thing that worries me, and it worries me for when I will finish the build and attach and put that thing onto myself, how long it's gonna last. But anyway, we're gonna see. It is what it is right now. I know that this problem exists. Hopefully I won't need to remedy it straight away. So, last part of the instructions is part 7, and let me talk about it a little bit. So, onto part 7 we attach the turret onto the upper hole and the upper hole onto the lower hole. Of course I'm not gonna do that because there are parts that interlock with the upper and the lower hole, and I haven't installed the windshield because I need to paint it first. So I need these two pieces to be separate, which it's gonna need to wait for the painting stage. So far this is gonna consist our main assembly. Well guys, I am back and I have halfly mocked up the vehicle. So, as I've told you in the previous part of the video, I'm gonna mock everything up and see how it looks. I faced several issues, 2 of them mainly. One was my mistake and the other one was the kit's fault. Now, I am gonna talk about the kit's fault first, and I'm gonna continue with my mistake. About the kit's fault, when I was trying to join the upper and the lower hole, and don't be confused, this is just a simple mock-up. It is just standing over here, the upper to the lower hole. I had a huge gap over here, and when I say a huge gap, I mean a huge gap, and twice bigger than this one. It was like this on both sides. I was scratching my head, trying to find out if I did anything wrong when I was building it, but nothing was wrong. After a while of fiddling with parts, I have realized that over here, on the bottom of the upper door, there were 2 square pieces of plastic that were hitting the lower door, and they were in the way of the lower hole sitting in position. So what I've done is that I've sanded them flat, and now we have an even better fit. And if you can see, when I squeeze it, the gap is almost disappearing. So if you build the same kit, keep an eye out for those 2 square parts. They are located, one over here in the corner and one on the other corner. Sand them down and you won't face any problem normally. And that was the easy fix. The difficult fix right now, which was my mistake, and I'm gonna explain you exactly what I did, where I did the mistake and how I did it. I am also gonna explain it to the editing section of the video so you can understand it better. So my mistake were exactly over here in the front suspension assembly. As you can see, the rear suspension has this tier shape that wheels grab onto it, the wheels go onto it. I have put these two pieces, and of course the other ones on the other side, on the exact opposite direction. This side was looking downwards. Now this was a problem because the vehicle onto the front was lowered, and when I say lowered, it was like a dragster on an angle like this. The wheels were hitting the fender over here, and it was really bad, guys. Luckily I was able to pull them off, everything, and position them correctly, and now we have the clearance we need, as you can see, and everything worked out nicely. I was really lucky. So keep an eye out for my mistake. Of course I'm gonna point it out. Don't do the same thing. Now that's everything that I have done, and that's everything for this episode, guys. I have enough footage, and there is no need for me to bore you even more. Now I'm gonna move on to the next episode. I'm gonna talk about the next episode. On to our next episode. Like, if I am lucky enough and the circumstances help me, I'm gonna paint it and weather it, and we're gonna have a final on the BTR. But that's a topic for that episode. Now, before I go, I wanna thank each and every one of you guys that watched this video. A special thank you to my old and new subscribers. You guys are the best, and you are the reason I keep doing those videos. For the newcomers out there that encounter one of my videos for the first time, welcome, guys. I hope that you like what I do. If so, you all know what to do. Leave a like, comment with your thoughts and opinions, share the video if you believe that it deserves to be shared, or even consider subscribing for more builds to come your way. Until the next time, fellow modelers and friends, take care and model on. It was that Mofo Daemon, signing out.